Marcus, once a centurion of the 9th Legion, did not remember dying. He remembered the flash of a barbarian blade, the hot spray of blood against the German snow, and then, nothing. Just a sudden, violent downward pull, like a stone dropped into a deep well. When he opened his eyes, the snow was gone. The sky was not the blue of the living world, nor the black of night. It was a bruise, a swirling, stagnant expanse of violet and bruised gray, pressing down with a physical weight. There was no sun, only a diffuse, sickly luminescence that seemed to radiate from the gray dust beneath his sandals. He stood on the banks of a river that flowed with the consistency of oil. It made no sound. The silence of this place was the first true horror. It was not peace, but a suppression, a heavy blanket that smothered the scream rising in his throat. This was Orcus, the Shadow Lands, the final destination. A skiff cut through the oily mist, driven by a figure cloaked in tatters that moved in a wind no one else could feel. Charon. The ferryman did not speak. He merely extended a skeletal hand, palm up. Marcus spat the coin from his mouth into the boatman's hand. It clinked, the only sharp sound in a muffled world. "Take me back," Marcus whispered, his voice sounding thin and reedy, stripped of its mortal bass. "I was not finished." The ferryman did not answer. He merely pointed his pole toward the far bank, where the mist thinned to reveal the gates. The skiff lurched forward. As they crossed, Marcus looked into the water. He expected to see his reflection. Instead, he saw the faces of men he had killed. They did not look angry. They looked bored. They drifted in the current like pale weeds, mouths open in silent chants, eyes white and blind. The dread settled into Marcus's stomach, cold and heavy. This was not a place of fire and pitchforks. It was a place of stagnation. The boat grounded on the black sand of the far shore. Marcus stepped off, his armor feeling light, insubstantial. Ahead lay the gates of Orcus, immense slabs of iron and bone, standing open. They did not need to be locked. No one ever tried to leave. Beyond the gates lay the asphodel fields, but in the realm of Orcus, they were not a meadow. They were a sprawling shantytown of dust. Millions of souls stood there. They did not converse. They stood with heads bowed, staring at their feet, motionless as statues. They were fading. Marcus grabbed the shoulder of a passing shade. "Where is the judgment? Where is the Elysium?" The shade turned. It was a woman, her features blurred like a watercolor painting left in the rain. "There is only the waiting," she whispered, her voice like dry leaves skittering on stone. "We wait for the memory of us to fade from the world above. When the last living person speaks your name, you dissolve. That is the mercy of Orcus." "I am a soldier," Marcus snapped, stepping back. "I demand to see the lord of this place. I swore oaths. I kept them. I deserve a verdict." The woman pointed a translucent finger toward the horizon, where a massive fortress of obsidian rose against the bruised sky. "He sits there, the oath keeper, but he does not give verdicts, soldier. He merely ensures the door stays shut." Marcus began to walk. It felt like walking through waist-deep water. The dread grew with every step, a creeping realization that his strength, his bravery, his tactical mind, none of it mattered here. Here, he was just another whisper in a canyon of echoes. He reached the obsidian palace. There were no guards. The doors were vast, carved with the faces of the terrified. He pushed them open and entered the throne room. It was a cavernous hall, lit by torches that burned with cold, blue flames. At the far end sat a throne made of fused spinal columns, and there sat Orcus. He was not the handsome Hades of the Greeks, nor the fiery devil of the Christians. Orcus was a giant, hair matted and wild, his beard a tangle of roots and soil. His body was etched with scars, each one a broken oath sworn by mortals. He held a scepter topped with a skull that wept black tears. The giant did not look up as Marcus approached. He was reading from a scroll that seemed to have no beginning and no end. "Lord Orcus," Marcus shouted. The echo died instantly. The giant stopped reading. He raised his head. His eyes were empty sockets, yet they held a gaze that pinned Marcus to the floor. "The centurion, Orcus spoke. The voice was the sound of a tomb door sliding shut. Marcus Valerius. I died with a sword in my hand, Marcus pleaded, dropping to one knee. I served Rome. I honored the gods. Why am I here, in this gray wasteland? Where is the glory? Orcus leaned forward, the bones of his throne creaking. Glory is a story the living tell themselves to hide the terror of the end. There is no glory here. There is only the truth. And what is the truth? That you end, Orcus said simply. You are finite. You struggled, you fought, you loved, and you hated. And now, you are done. I want to go back, Marcus whispered, the terror finally breaking his composure. Let me go back as a shade, a ghost. Let me see my wife one last time. Orcus stood. He was impossibly tall, a mountain of shadow and dread. The oath of life is broken the moment the heart stops. You belong to me now. Not to be punished, not to be rewarded, but to be kept. The giant raised a massive hand. Look upon yourself, Centurion. Marcus looked down at his hands. They were becoming transparent. He could see the gray floor through his palms. He tried to grip the hilt of his phantom sword, but his fingers passed through it. You are a memory, Orcus rumbled, settling back onto his throne. And memories fade. Accept the silence, Marcus. It is the only gift I have to give. Marcus wanted to scream, to rage, to charge the throne. But the will was draining out of him, replaced by a terrible, heavy lethargy. The dread of the final destination wasn't that it was painful. The dread was that it was absolutely, undeniably final. He turned away from the throne. He walked back out into the gray dust of the city. He found a small, empty patch of ground among the millions of silent souls. Marcus sat down. He pulled his knees to his chest. He tried to think of his wife's face, but the image was already blurry. He tried to remember the name of his sword, but it was gone. He closed his eyes. The silence of the underworld washed over him, closing over his head like deep water. He was in Orcus. He was nowhere, and he would never leave.